Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Ready.
Yeah. It's 7:30, and I call to order the meeting of the Middlebury Development Review Board for December 10th, 2018. First thing I'll do is go over the business agenda. It's continuation from a 11/26/2018 application request by Anthony Neary for a final conditional use approval of his proposal to resume the retail grocery store at 3 Elm Street. That's the only business agenda for this evening. Are there any communications from the public on any item not on the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of 11/26/2018?
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there discussion, changes, questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll go directly to the first item. This is a continuation from 11/26/2018 application request by Anthony Neary for final conditional use approval of his proposal to resume the retail grocery store, deli, cafe use on the property formerly known as Greg's Market. The property is located at 3 Elm Street and 30 McIntyre Lane in the Village Residential Commercial District, parcel 24199 and 24201. The following is the DRB oath for applicants, interested persons, and those who wish to participate in this hearing. If you are interested in participating in this hearing, please take the oath now. If you do not take the oath, you will not be able to participate. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence and information you are giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief? Please signify by raising your hand. Okay, thank you. At this time, I would ask the board, the members of the board, if any member has a conflict of interest regarding this application.
No.
Hearing none. At this time, does any member wish to disclose any ex parte conversations concerning this case? Hearing none. Okay. I guess the way to start would be if you would like to, I guess, go over the proposed changes that you have submitted from the
Well,
last.
John Ashley
Yes,
will answer those questions for me, and then Gail Day, I'll
okay.
speak later,
Okay.
along with me.
Are you going to be making this full screen?
Where'd your pointer go, Kevin?
You want a pointer? Do we have it?
On this one. I think that's about
Probably under view.
You can make it bigger
He's got a
down
pointer
here.
right there in his hand.
Problem is, it's just gonna,
Oh, yeah. And then up
Okay.
there.
Did you try?
Yep.
view?
Oh,
just view,
Yeah, that's usually what we're doing.
Zoom.
Got my percentage somewhere.
Any better?
Yeah.
Not really. Some?
Is that better? Yes?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So,
I'll move it around for you, John.
Sure, thank you.
excuse me, this is C1. Is that what we have here?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's good there. So changes from the proposed site plan from our last appearance. We removed the parking spaces on the south side of the building. They were shown because of the existing stripes there, but they're they've been taken off. We're showing the existing doorway on that side. We've added proposed planting boxes to be a physical barrier for people going back to parking there, and be an opportunity to do some plantings in front. We also added a planting box over between the standard parking spaces and the edge of the building. We have added the existing lights on the face of the building. There's actually one not shown here because it'll need to be moved with the new covered entrance. But these 6 fixtures that are all existing, they provide the lighting for this parking area along the west side of the building. We added striping to show the pedestrian access to and from the extended parking area, sort of in the form of a crosswalk. I think that's all the substantive changes down here, so we can probably do the parking. So we made the island area between the between the proposed expanded parking area and the road a uniform width of 5 feet to serve as a drainage swale, right drainage to the catch basin at the north end. There's a dividing line here, roughly halfway along the side of the pool building, where drainage from here, actually, we won't be able to send it north from about halfway along the existing pool road building, so that would actually drain to the south, and just what doesn't infiltrate in the grass area would run down the parking lot like it does right now. But that's a fairly small segment of the island. This would be a swale, so it's flush with the parking, so we don't change all the grading of the surrounding area like we would if it were a raised curved island. We have proposed shrub plantings in clusters of 3 along that drainage swale. We have added 2 serviceberry trees, which are not a tall tree. It's maybe a mature height of 20 feet in this northern portion of the island. We've added 2 hackberries at the north end of the parking area to provide shade. Those are mature height of 40 to 60 feet. They're very hardy. They're tolerant to salt, which in the snow storage area would be appropriate. We've added 2 proposed parking lot lights on the east side of the parking lot so that they would face away from the adjacent residences. And our electrical engineer, who specializes in lighting plans, ran the modeling and selected the proposed fixtures. It's all compliant with the Middlebury lighting requirements. We narrowed the northern exit from the parking lot to 20 feet. And we've shown the proposed fence along the east edge of the parking lot. And that would be a fence that would start at 2 feet above grade and extend to 8 feet above grade. The poles obviously would go into the ground, but the actual fencing would have a gap, a 2-foot gap underneath. I think that is that covers all the proposed changes from the previous version of the plan, addressing the comments from the previous hearing.
John, once the pool world is removed and the parking lot is paved, how will the drainage still flow basically the same way that it does now? Where the pool world is, will that flow back to the drainage, or will that flow towards the parking lot to the south?
From about
Okay,
this point north would be draining to the catch basin to the
Okay.
north.
so basically what it's gonna do right now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Questions from the board?
Will the driveway to the east side of Pool World be closed while the Pool World building is still there? Or do you anticipate people will drive through there to get into the parking lot? And what will you do about the people who park there in the evening, who live in those houses?
Well, it's not like it's gonna take a week to tear down. My contractor claims.
No, I mean before then,
Before when?
before June 1st.
So we're proposing to delay the tearing down of the Pool World building to June 1st, so
But Mr. Neary is seeking a permit to open the store before
Yes.
June
Yeah,
1st.
but what happens, we'll tear that down probably in less than a half a day.
I believe
That's-
what she's wanting to know, though, is in the interim, from the time we open until we demolish it,
Oh.
the side road on the east side,
Right here.
evidently people who live there park in that space in the
I
evening?
think so. Also, it's in a very poor state of repair for people to pick their way from the parking lot.
If we open, it'll be graded before we open, that's for sure, so that they
Okay.
can get to the back parking lot.
Thank you.
The road is actually in pretty good shape. And no, the only ones that park there are just people that stop in the house there. Amy Ryan's place, which is not very long during the day.
Is that road just basically a vehicle width wide?
Yes.
Remember? Yeah, so you're gonna
Basically,
have, that's gonna be your ingress. Egress will be out
They
the
can go out.
northwest.
Right, they could go out in front of it and then park up, so they'll drive up. They're not gonna really use that little driveway. They'll go out, the signs will indicate they can get to it. from
Right,
going around the
right,
other
but
way.
are they gonna wanna come back out the same way? Can you get around the west side of the Pool World building?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be able to do that as
We're
well?
gonna grade it, and when we tear the thing down, we'll finish the entire,
We're talking
understand
about
that.
before you tear it down.
before.
Are, you know, if people decide to park in the parking lot behind Pool World,
Right.
okay,
We'll grade
fine.
it off. We can't have it 100% because
No, Tony,
it's gotta be level with that road.
okay, I understand that. Are you proposing, you believe that most of them will leave that parking lot after shopping and go out the northwest? Or will they try to come back through, or?
Or go up and around and back through.
Yeah.
Okay,
That option will be theirs.
but that road to the east of Pool World, that's also gonna be a pedestrian access to the parking lot,
They'll be able to walk that way for sure.
plus have cars go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, plus, I don't think any cars would ever use it.
Okay.
It's so
The
narrow.
majority of the people are gonna go around Pool World, back, and then walk.
I don't, see,
We're talking before,
yeah, I
The
understand, but I don't think we're even capable of doing that kind of business from when we open for at least 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's so minimal. Gail and I were talking about it today, that we're under the impression that we're gonna do a hellish a lot of business because Greg did. But we've got some different kind of competition now that's a little different. We don't anticipate doing anywhere near what Greg did. So we think the parking spaces we have in front of Pool World on the sides of the building are enough to handle what we're proposing to do. I mean,
The
Go ahead.
access road, and Tony and I've talked about this as far as employee parking in the back. That'll be more of an access road. That isn't gonna be intended to be used for the public to go back and forth. I mean, some people might use it unless we block it off, but I certainly don't think we'd want people wandering back and forth in that area. I think that the concentration of everybody moving this way, because we'll have delivery trucks in that back corner at different times as well. So leaving that open, and not for necessarily pedestrian or, customer use is something that we would want. We would want rather for them to go around the other way.
Okay.
Where are these spaces in front of Pool World?
There's 7 spaces in front of Pool World right now.
Well, they're not marked on here.
Oh, like,
Right.
but anyway, they're there. You pull right up in front of the building. I don't know why they're not marked, probably because we're anticipating tearing it down.
Back to the lighting just for a second. The south entrance, will there be a wall light on that exit
Yeah,
entrance? Is there one now, or,
it's lit up, it's lit up now,
okay, all right, so,
under the awning.
okay.
If you have, I understand why you want to have the grassy area flush with the parking lot for drainage purposes. How do you anticipate preventing cars from driving over it?
Cemetery goes in. There's these 6-foot or 7-foot,
Berms.
what do they call those things? Cement bumpers.
Okay.
And they line up where each car is parked, one in front of each of the cars. They'd hurt themselves going over it.
Yeah. No, I was just concerned that it
Yeah.
would
Oh,
be
yeah.
destroyed in no
Well,
time.
we'd have to do it on the fence side also.
Will you be using grocery carts? Will people be using carts or just baskets?
Yes, they will be using carts, but it'll be limited, it'll be less, the idea is to concentrate on the deli, kind of a convenience, a corner store idea, not so much the grocery. I mean, we will have toilet paper, but we won't have 4 different kinds. We'll have ketchup, but again, not 4 different kinds. So, it'll be meat and then convenience type items. So we don't anticipate people coming in there to do a large volume of grocery shopping or stay for that long, for that matter. We figure the average trip will be no longer than 15 minutes in and out. So the carts will be used for convenience for those who do want to do a larger shopping or maybe pick up a meat package, but the majority will be basket.
Well, I'm just wondering where the carts would fit when if they're abandoned in the parking lot,
When
that
they're
reduces your spaces.
Well, we'll have somebody that will be attending the carts, naturally, but because there'll only be probably 5 at any given one time, maybe being used, I think that's pretty manageable. I think we'll be able to keep the parking lot pretty clear. We have 2 different areas that we've identified to store the carts. One is by the existing entrance, because that's gonna all be closed off. We thought maybe putting over a covered area where we could park carts in there, so that when they go in to use that entrance, because the registers that are gonna be on the lower end are gonna be primarily for the shoppers that are gonna be doing a larger volume. The side entrance that we're doing we're gonna kind of trying to concentrate, the flow to be more of the lunch customer, or the someone that's coming in to grab a sandwich and a soda and they're going out, or they're just there for, you know, they gotta stop in and get a head of broccoli or something like that.
Just so I have it clear in my mind, you're talking, that's the west side that you're talking about?
Yes.
That
yes.
side?
Yeah,
Right where the deli is.
yeah.
And we're, you know, we
Yeah,
have,
there's an existing door there now,
Yeah.
but the change will be a larger door.
Yeah.
we're gonna actually call it a grab and go. It'll be a
Yeah.
quick, easy purchase and out the door. So I mean, I don't anticipate people filling a cart up with $250 worth of groceries, God forbid. That would be great.
I mean, we're going to have quality meats and quality produce. We want to concentrate on a lot of local stuff, but I don't believe that people are going to come there for their cereal. They're not going to come there for sugar or flour. They may pick it up because they're there, or they're going right by on the way home, and we'll have some of that available, but that won't be the emphasis.
John, I guess I'm looking at is this gonna be actually an access road coming out of the parking lot onto Exchange Street? I mean, what are you showing there? What,
Between these two, he's thinking.
right by, see where it says 41?
Yeah, no, that's
No, that's just the,
that's
that's
the
the
house
dumpster
here.
and recycling area.
No, it's over here. This 41. Is that Amy Ryan's?
Yes.
So there's no exit from the parking lot onto Exchange Street via that road?
No, not at all.
No.
That line
Okay.
that line's the property line.
Okay,
That's what that is.
because I was gonna say you got dumpsters and other stuff you're probably gonna put in there, yeah. Okay. I guess my other question is, and this is maybe at the staff, but once this parking lot is laid out and the pool world building is gone, don't we want to have an opening somewhere along this green belt where you can get back onto McIntyre Lane and go out? I mean, I just
There is on the northwest
There is
now.
up here.
oh, yeah, I wouldn't think go all the way to the end and come
It's
back
not
down.
that far.
Huh?
It's not that far.
No, it's
I
not that.
I think most people would want to, if it happens to be busy with Joe's Place, the florist, and the recycling, redemption, and whatever, people are gonna wanna get away from that, that particular area and go out that way and then come back,
Okay,
rather than trying to,
because that's roughly 200 feet, so that's
I don't see.
what it said.
What you might want to consider with the grassed area is perhaps putting a walkway across it near the south corner, because I anticipate people parking, going into your store, and then heading to the wine store or whatever. And if they,
Right in this
and
area.
they'll walk straight across the grass, unless there's, it might even be worth seeing where they walk before you
Right.
lay it.
Let them wear it down a little bit and then just make it a walkway. Yes,
That
agree.
green area is actually gonna be a drainage,
yes.
so it's gonna be, okay.
Yeah, a walkway should probably just be shown right on the plan.
The north part of that parking lot, I anticipated making a deal with RK Miles to put that existing street he has into one-way out, which would really solve a lot of problems for him as well as us.
I don't know, you know, he has it blocked off there now, he's got a barrier there, and then there's
Well, at night he
employees'
opens,
truck.
they leave at 4 o'clock and 4:30 and it's open.
Oh, they
So they going back and forth.
they take the barrier down?
Yeah, just this past week, I don't know.
That's
But I
something
mean,
that you
going
would
out
look at
makes
with
sense,
him.
trying to get in and going out doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. But I've gotta sit down with Miles and talk about it, because we're talking about some of his employees parking in my parking lot. So perhaps we can make a deal
Oh, wow.
on things, you know.
I was gonna say, Tony, I think a couple times last week, I went by just to, and there's an awful lot of cars currently parked up against your building on the west side. Where do those cars come from?
There's Stevie Dubois's during this time of year when he has these snow tires,
Yeah?
let him put 12 employees there.
Those are
Those
Dubois.
are employees of other
Okay.
businesses, those aren't.
I said,
people
where the
in
hell did all these
downtown.
trucks
We go
come?
back a lot of years, so he worked for me for 15 years. And it makes a big
So
difference.
he'll have a parking problem once you get going.
No, I'll let him use it anyway, I don't, no. He can go back here. There's also a rail yard that, where you guys should put the new station, but I don't want to get into that.
Prior to the demolition of Pool World, will the parking spaces behind the Pool World building be marked out?
Well, it's gonna be rough to do, but we're gonna grade it. I hope to be able to grade it here in the next,
Well, I was just thinking that if they're marked out on the angles shown here, that's sort of an invitation to come in and go up that driveway on the east side.
no, there's a, oh, well,
I would think if you mark them, well, Pool World is there, would just be putting a bumper at each
Yeah.
one, so people would know what to
wouldn't
line
know
up
what
with.
has to be there.
And I think
You
they would
can't
pull
mark
in
those in
straight.
the wintertime. How you gonna
I
mark
don't-
these this
I
winter?
don't mean in front of Pool World, I mean.
No, I'm,
Yeah, in the back.
we're talking about in the back,
Talking about in the gravel, use the bumper.
on the edge of the gravel lot.
spot.
They
That's
could
gonna
put
happen
bumpers.
after Pool World comes down, right?
Oh, no, they can put.
Sorry,
they
I
can
can
gra-
check.
They're gonna have to gravel,
Yeah.
level the parking lot, and then they can put the bumpers in now.
Right, well, it's gravel, if there are
Yeah.
bumpers along this edge, those just
Yeah.
define where people pull in.
And if people pull in perpendicularly until Pool World comes down, how many spaces does that give you?
In the back,
It's partially on somebody else's
well,
property.
there's probably, probably 25
Well,
The property
or
line.
so.
Prior to.
you can't count them, you can't count all the ones marked here while the Pool World building is still standing, because you can't get into
No,
two of them, maybe more.
if you go back behind Pool World, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, probably 30, 35 spaces in the back. Then you have your sides, the front, and then 7 in front of Pool World. You have more than enough what the requirements are.
Okay,
Pool World gone, it'll be a lot nicer and easier for everybody to get in.
Tony, let's cut the chase here and let's get right to, obviously, if you want us to give you a permit to operate, what are you gonna do for us in the town to make sure that all of this is in compliance? That's all I need to know.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna try to do is what Jennifer and I talked about. My problem is, the planters in the front are gonna be on your land, not on my land. Now, should I pay for those planters, or should the town? If I agree to take care of the, indigenous plants which are gonna grow in that pot, God knows what they're gonna be. But if you tell me what they gotta be, that's a different story. Know what I mean? I don't have a problem doing it, but, what else? They're gonna tear Pool World down as soon as I can. As soon as I make an agreement with Pool World to stay in Middlebury, I have 2 separate locations that I have for them. 'Cause I hate like hell to lose them.
But you've outlined how you wanna do this. I mean, it's clearly,
Yeah.
okay. So, as good businessmen, as you are you willing to put up a bond so that in the event that this isn't completed by such and such a date, that we will, how's that gonna work? I need to know, just for my own curiosity.
I mean,
Is that customary for a project this size? I'm just curious.
Pardon me?
Doesn't have to be customary.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's traditionally for a project.
Doesn't have to be traditional.
Well, the thing that's a little bit different here is that Tony wants to get
To get going.
an occupancy permit
Yes.
before the site is actually ready for him. And so that's the bond is one way that the town can have some leverages to make sure that that is done eventually at whatever time that we think it should. And that's the question is,
Oh, I always thought I had pretty good standing with the town for the things that I've done in the past.
well,
I guess I don't have a problem with that, because we need to get open. Now, I just,
That's what I'm saying, Tony.
I don't know what the cost is. I haven't ever bought a bond for anybody at any time through my whole period of doing business here.
Yeah.
With a ton of employees and all the taxes I pay.
Yeah.
If you don't trust me to tell you what I'm doing, then I guess I have to get a bond.
Well, most of the applications that we have and that we approve are typically complete before the occupancy
Well,
permit
this
is issued.
pretty complete, figuring that we're not gonna do the business I think you people think we're gonna do. Where it's gonna be a small operation compared to what it was. It'll take years for it to ever get in the place of Greg's. Greg was huge compared to what we expect to do.
But you're proposing, I mean,
Just open the store,
you're
Get operating.
proposing, Tony, you're proposing that by June 1st of 2019, that this building will be gone.
if I can make arrangements with
No. So see, what we need from you is in that yes, it's gonna be gone by June 1st,
No matter what.
no matter what. And that's why
Fine.
there.
What if it's gone before? Is that okay?
I'm sorry?
If it's gone before June 1st?
That's wonderful.
fine.
But, see, that's,
I
I guess
understand, I understand.
where we're coming from is, you know, that we understand can be extenuating circumstances and it would push it along and push it along.
No.
But
I
if
can't
we
see
agree to
that.
this, and I think most of us would say, if you're committed, by June 1st, that building will be gone, then we're gonna listen to you. But if you can't say definitely, then, you know, we're gonna,
I think I can say definitely.
see, that's where I have a problem. I think I can.
Or if we can get another place for Pool World.
Right. See, those are not definites.
No,
Those,
those are-
just
those
those
are-
little.
Well, I've got 2 locations. It's convincing them. They feel that the area they're in right now is the best, which they're not thinking the 2 locations I have for them are so much better at the same price. I'm just trying to help them, but the employees seem to think that's where they belong, not the
So
owner.
if you can't come to an agreement with Pool World,
They're gone.
they're, okay.
I mean,
They're
Because the
gone.
building will be gone. I mean,
It's
that's
got-
already given as of June 1st.
Okay.
What we're here
Alright.
for is to ask to open between that period.
Right.
But the commitment is June 1st firmly.
Okay.
And so in order for them to approve the grocery store, that approval is premised on the fact that there's a parking lot as it appears on this plan. But this plan doesn't have a building in the middle of the parking lot. So normally, they would create a condition that said that the building needed to be removed before the building permit was issued and the store was allowed to be open. So now this is like an unusual situation, so we have to figure out how to deal with it. Because let's say June 1st came and the building wasn't down, then the best that they could do is pursue it as a zoning violation, and they take a long time and they're very costly. So they were thinking maybe bumping it up one more notch and getting like a letter of credit or a bond or something like that to really ensure that there's like an easier, I don't want to say a penalty, but like, you know, just like some extra
Motivation.
impetus. What's that?
Motivation.
Motivation, yeah, or
Well,
impetus
we're motivated to
for
get rid
getting
of the
that building
building to
down.
increase the business. Basically, that's what it's all about. If the building's gone,
Tony, I'm trying to help you get open. And, you know,
That's
and I
fine.
think we represent the community and the people, and every applicant that comes here, we have to treat all our children the same. And I don't think this is an unusual request for you to,
well, you need a letter of commitment from me or from a bondsman?
well, I don't know how I don't even know what the bond, is a performance bond, means that if you don't comply at the date, then the town comes in and calls your bond, and then we tear it down. And obviously, we're not gonna tear it down for what the bond is, because it's probably gonna cost us more to tear it down, and you'd be happy to let us do it. But, you know what I'm saying?
I would, if it's okay to.
Yeah.
I would sooner think that the performance bond or letter of credit would be called, and he'd still be responsible for taking down the building. It's not the town's, but it is a motivation to get it done. And the only thing I'd offer to folks is I certainly respect where you're coming from as far as you don't think you're gonna do the business, but the regulations state, based on the square footage of the building, you need X number of parking spots. And, you know, so you're asking us to waive that, because you don't believe you're gonna do that kind of business, and that may very well be the case, but the fact still remains, it's a retail space that's 43 or 4,500 square feet, and it demands, according to the bylaws, X number of parking spaces, and we're just not, we see it there, but we don't see it very efficiently and effectively with the Pool World building there. That's kind of where I'm coming, or what I keep thinking about as far as arguing the parking spaces.
How many spaces does Pool World need?
7.
But that's what they need, according to the
That's,
square footage.
Pool World would need 7 according to their square footage.
Can we have just one moment, please?
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, we start counting.
They can go home.
We want him to open. He just needs to,
I wonder if you can buy the space.
Can't be if, and, or but.
yeah.
The other thing I have a concern about is where are we showing a pedestrian path
All these
if they're not
qualifiers.
gonna use it that way?
Oh, yeah.
The multi green cheese, well, little.
It's whatever. Yeah, so what we were discussing is the possibility that, instead of the purchasing a bond and spending more money, what we would prefer to do, if you guys are willing to, because we know that the building is gonna be down on June 1st. We're committed to that, Tony's committed to that. It's only it has to be down by June 1st. We only want an extra couple of months here. So we enter into an agreement with you that if for some reason the building wouldn't be down on June 1st, we would be penalized $500 a day until it was removed. And that's a legal agreement between us, or it could be a contingency for the permit, for the,
Certificate of
How would we
occupancy.
enforce that?
well, if we have a legal and binding agreement between Tony and the town, I would assume that that would be enforceable.
Well, the
Enforceable.
town would have to sue if Tony didn't pay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which
But
would
it's-
be expensive for the town to do.
Well, well,
I think there's a measure of faith that, or good faith, that could be put forth or not. We know that it's gonna be down June 1st.
I'm not sure what a bond would cost, but I know that I can get, well, I was gonna say if it was part of the permit, it would become a legal document anyway.
I can tell you what an appearance bond costs, is 10%.
Yes,
Performance bond, more than likely, could be somewhere in the same vicinity. It's just buying insurance, you're just buying some insurance, that's all you're doing. It depends on the risk too for the
And what's
bonder.
the value? I mean, what are we looking at?
Well,
What
I'm not
value
ready to-
of
I-
bond would you?
I personally would like to see you open. I personally would like to see everything happen the way it should happen. As far as the agreement with the town, how that's gonna work, I think that's a staff recommendation and not coming from us. I think I would refer to them as to, because they probably more than likely are gonna talk with our legal department here, whether we can even do that. I mean, I hope we can, and I hope you can get open and do what you gotta
I
do.
feel like if we could make some sort of compromise and not have to invest $5,000 in something that's going to be relevant.
I would agree with that, but that's something that the town and the legal, but we can't make that regulation. I think that's a legal document that needs to take place.
So another option might be, another creative option might be with the, forgive me that you haven't heard this yet. Okay. With the Pool World building standing, he would have to provide parking for Pool World and parking for Greg's, based on the square footage of each one of those.
Yeah.
In total, he'd have to provide 40 spaces. That's 33 for Greg's, 7 for Pool World, for a total of 40.
Yeah.
But with Pool World standing, you don't have access to the spaces behind. You would only have access with Pool World standing to 19 spaces.
Right.
So the difference between the 40 he has to provide and the 19 that are readily accessible is 21. And so sometimes we grant people parking fee waivers where they're able to purchase parking within downtown. Now, that's not a good solution for here because there's not a lot of downtown like parking, but there would be a reasonable nexus between those 21 spaces and the cost of buying 21 spaces from the town, and then having a letter of credit in the amount of, it's gonna be somewhere around $4,000, that the town could cash in if the Pool World isn't down by June 1st. Contingent on him still taking Pool World down after that. That's a thought, but we'd have to talk to council about it. So there's a few different ways to skin a cat if you're comfortable with the concept of.
Okay.
Do you like that idea?
It's thought.
Okay.
We want you to open. We just want to know when you're going to do your part of the agreement so we can move on with this. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, as far as the other improvements, the changes around the building itself, the handicap spaces, that will be all marked out prior to opening. Obviously, the planters out front may not be until,
Can't expect that till June
weather,
1st.
well, weather permitting.
Can
But
you get 'em
so
to
the
mark
west,
these?
Something will happen to the appearance of the front of the building
Stripe.
before we open. I mean,
Mark
that's
these
just
as
aesthetically
handicap.
pleasing. That's in our
You see
benefit to
that?
do. I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
that
they're right
those
there. Right.
sawhorses out front are
Come right
very
down
appealing.
here,
So, yeah, I would like to,
Move these down right to here.
because I'm gonna be the manager of the store. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna want to, if we're gonna open, we're not gonna want to look like we're completely
So
under
what I can do
construction
is I can-
or
I can
something
do
of that
that.
sort.
Have to throw them out.
okay. Other questions from the board at this time? Anything more from staff?
Yeah, I just want to make the general comment, since this is being taped and people are listening, that the DRB does not make deals with applicants that
Right.
aren't something specifically allowed by our zoning.
Right.
So allowing a parking fee waiver, allowing him to purchase this difference in spots or something like that is totally allowable by the zoning. And then, something like a performance bond is allowable. So I just want to make it clear that we're not trying to find solutions that are too creative and outside the auspices of what we're allowed to do.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question. You mentioned that the, two things. The pedestrian parking that's shown, or pedestrian walkway that's shown, if it's not gonna be used, I guess, I know we talked about it, but you folks are suggesting that that's not gonna be used. People are gonna walk across onto McIntyre Lane and come into the store that way. That's what you're thinking?
Yes, that is what we're thinking.
I mean, if they have, they're gonna go where they wanna go. But I don't think anybody would use that driveway.
That's true, but I think you can kind of encourage people to go a certain way, and you want people to be safe, and
Yes,
you want them
and-
to, you don't want them to have to walk on ice from 300 feet away if possible, so that's why I'm saying if,
Is the area to the east of Pool World, is that all gravel or is there pavement there?
It's gravel, then there's pavement.
Pavement where the walk,
But there's about,
where the walk ends, right in front of Pool World is where the pavement ends.
right on that,
So there wouldn't be any way to continue that walkway designation
would be alongside the building.
alongside Pool World.
Well, the green thing is gonna be away from that building probably.
No, I'm talking about on the east side.
I think he's talking about extending this walkway
A designation somewhere to that point.
right along here, so that people have a way to get from here into the store. But you're also suggesting that you don't think this is gonna happen this way, and
Well, we could probably do it with barriers or something, but, you know, like I say, they can come on the other side of Pool World and walk down alongside Pool World.
I was just trying to get them out of the line of traffic, that's all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And they would be right there.
right here,
Yep.
You want a pen?
No. What they're talking about is
Yeah.
behind the building.
Yeah, I know, but alongside the building on the west side, there's only a narrow strip of gravel, which is about 4 or 5 feet. And they have a handicap ramp on that side of the building. Right out, yeah, down this way more.
down this
It's right here, yep, right there.
Like,
That's
comes
a
up
handy-
onto the
Yeah.
porch.
And I think, Tony, I think as smart a businessman as you are, been around a long time, you know if people can't pull up the front door and get into the store, they're not gonna come.
I know
Okay.
that, I realize that.
But we want you to be successful at this.
The other thing I just wanted to clear for myself is your primary entrance is still gonna be here.
Right,
It's not gonna be here.
well, there's gonna be a second one here.
That is gonna be
Right.
a second, but that's gonna be like the grab and go, that's for the quick traffic. We're going to
So-
have an actual
So,
portable
I mean,
register there.
this walkway alongside the building, it's pretty steep and everything.
Not
Because
really.
you're reopening, does the state require anything to be handicap compliant right there?
Well, the other entrance is the handicap
So
accessible
this would be
entrance.
the
Yeah.
handicap.
Yeah.
accessible.
Both are.
Okay.
But
Because the
it
other one
doesn't
is handicap
exist.
accessible now.
And
It
then-
doesn't
Well, I
ex-
don't know that slope is that,
It was okay before.
and I concur with that. I'm just wondering, this is a new bite at the apple. The state might look at it a little differently if you're proposing that slope as being handicap accessible. I don't know, John, what do you think?
There's a railing there, so it might qualify, but I'm not sure about the width.
Yeah. And the only other thing, you mentioned these planters along here that aren't on your property, then I would just suggest you move those planters back closer to your building. And just, somehow we gotta keep people from, discouraging people from parking in here, because that's what the board wants. But, those planters could move back a little bit and
Well, then you're putting
Well-
your pedestrians out on the street.
Well,
well,
you need a certain amount of space for them to get in and out with carts. And there would be stationary carts there, so when they go into that entrance, they pull from the side and bring them out. So if you push those planters back, then you don't have room for the carts.
okay, I'm
Where,
just addressing Tony's question.
where we showed them though, Tony, is on your property, according to the
Okay,
right of way line.
That was
Yeah.
my question, because Tony alluded to the fact that they weren't on his
Well,
property,
there's a
they were in the right
sidewalk
of way.
across the street, and you move these up, and you're discouraging those people to walk out
Okay.
here. So-
You alluded to the fact that they weren't on your property, and I just wanted to be sure.
They are, but that's all right. You know,
Okay, you got two
Well,
answers.
they will be on your property, and you will maintain them.
I will.
Yes,
Indigenous
a-
plants.
that's the edge of the right of way there.
Right here.
And so we're showing them on your property. This is the line.
Yeah, but where's that sidewalk? That's here on their property? So now the sidewalk's on my property.
This, the one right along the front of the store.
Right.
That's in,
Other
that's right
questions
here.
from the board at this
Red
time?
line.
He talks about the front of the building, that little circle there. Is that town, the town put that in, or did Greg put it in, or do you remember, Tony?
Greg did it.
Yeah.
His planter,
Yeah.
that was, I think, a suggestion the town had for him to put there
Okay.
to break up the parking. I can't remember what it was. I think that's why it's there.
Okay.
And it works pretty well. It, separates brings the cars together as they leave the property.
I guess excuse my ignorance here, but what's OHE?
Overhead electric.
Okay. All right.
Anything else from the board at this time? All right, I'll open it up to the public. Are there any comments from the public? Questions or comments?
Just want to correct one thing for the record when you're
Sure.
done.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
That the cost of purchasing a parking fee waiver for 21 spaces would be $5,250.
Okay.
So what would be the conditions for that?
Well, if there was some sort of guarantee or letter of credit in the amount of $5,250, and Pool World wasn't removed by June 1st, then, like if he defaulted on that, and the town received $5,250, he would have in effect purchased 21 spots from the town.
So are we gonna have to sue for that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you could set it up with like something that was callable, like a letter of credit and I'm not an attorney, I'd have to work it out with them, but it would be like you granting a parking fee waiver for 21 spots and him purchasing them. But I'm assuming that it would be in your benefit to have Pool World down anyway, so it would never be an issue.
That's
So
why
when
it's
would
not an issue, because it will be down. I mean, that's,
So when would the money have to change hands? Is he gotta put up the 5,000 up front right now?
Or
the letter of credit?
Letter of credit. Well, that depends on
They're
consultation.
not cheap either, you
so
know,
where
they
does
charge
he
for
get the
letter of
letter of
credit.
credit?
See, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
That's
same
from
as a
the bank.
bond.
You get it from your bank.
Well, they're not as good as a bond.
That's right,
They're not a bond.
So that doesn't get us around that then.
yeah.
On our smaller construction contracts, letters of credit are used to allow smaller contractors to bid on public projects.
Yeah, no, that's
We've
true.
used letters of credit on publicly bid projects for towns like Middlebury.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But they cost money still.
They do. And it helps get smaller contractors who don't normally do bonding to be able to bid on projects.
Yeah.
And it still gives the town certainty that you have,
I know,
you have a
you know, I
hook.
was in the business.
Yep.
So what kind of fees are associated with that?
It depends on the bond. It depends on the bank. Depends on the applicant. Because the bond is a third-party guarantee.
Well, and I realize bonds traditionally, 10% is a good.
Well, I don't think it'd be 10%. Wow.
A letter of credit probably around 6, 7. But a bond is 10% down on what we assume is gonna be. And that's
Yeah, what's the
deal.
face value of what the?
So we can't
That's
figure
what we
that,
Do we have an idea of what the face value of the bond would be?
you can't figure that out right now. I guess I'm just throwing that out like in our public session because I think it's better to premise the cost on like what it would be to purchase those parking spaces rather than like the cost of removing the building, because you don't have control over removing the building that he owns.
Right.
So basically what you're saying, if he put up, or we got a letter of credit for $5,200, then we'd be pretty much assured that something would happen.
But we'd also have to find that there are adequate public parking spaces, which there are not.
Yeah. Probably aren't 12 on-street spaces through there. I mean, there are in the whole of downtown.
I don't think this board can talk about buying parking spaces at this time. I think we gotta deal with the application and what's in front of us.
Yeah, it's a question of if you grant a parking fee waiver for 12 spaces.
That's right.
And Anne's saying, maybe that's not a great idea because there's not 12 spaces readily available in there, so.
I mean, I believe Tony is gonna tear that down. I believe that he's gonna do what he says he's gonna do. Like I said, we can't make deals with applicants. That's something that the town has to do. I'd like to see him open.
I believe in
I'd like to see him do it at the least expense possible. You know, he may wanna look at a bond, he may think that the bond is better than buying parking spaces, you know?
Regardless, we're still talking about additional thousands of dollars, though.
Am I talking
We're
what?
still talking about additional thousands of dollars, though.
I don't know what the town is gonna ask. We're not in the position to say. I don't know what it costs to tear down that building. Do you have an idea what it costs to tear that down, Tony?
Yeah. I've got a deal already made to get rid of it.
Okay.
The biggest problem is the family that owns Pool World are great people. And what I'll do is I'll just give him notice. He's on a 30-day notice. He pays rent based on 30 days, period. And tell him he's gotta be out next month.
Well, actually, they got until October 1st, 2019, according to the agreement that we.
Well,
passed.
no, that was just talking points.
Well, I'm just
Don.
saying, if
Yeah.
we used October 1st, 2019, I mean, you gotta pick a day somewhere.
Yeah, that was for paving, right?
Yes, yeah.
We just talked about,
I think June 1st is fine. I think I can get it done probably in February. I can get the town either a line of credit up to, if this was $5,000, or a bond for $5,000, which would cost me probably $500 just to get it. The biggest problem I have is a couple of things that you people requested that I probably shouldn't even deal with. But you had asked me to find out all the logistics on what was underneath this land where the parking lot is. And Jonathan turned around and took care of all of that, showing the water and the sewer and the power. And if there was phone lines, they were there. If they aren't, I don't believe there's any phone or fiber optics in that area.
No.
In fact, all that information was in your town records down at the town shed. So I had a little problem with that, but I'll get over it, and I'll have that Pool World bill down as soon as I talk to Mr. Buska. So we'll take care of it, but if we need to move forward on the store. We've done a lot inside. That's not noticeable by anybody. But I can tell you the cost of just taking care of the inside of the building was staggering. So it's gonna be rough to do whatever we do. But I don't have a problem tearing it down.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Do you think you're gonna use deliberative session?
Yes.
Well, that's what I was gonna,
That's what he's gonna ask us.
I'm looking for a motion.
I'm over, move to deliberative session.
There's a motion to move to deliberative session. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion?
There is. Can we have a rough idea what the issues that we need to address in deliberative session? I mean, are we talking about the bond, the performance bond, what?
Whatever.
I think it's only fair to let Tony know what we're talking about.
I want to talk about the parking, pedestrian access prior to the demolition of Pool World. Traffic flow, which hasn't really been addressed.
Others?
Yeah.
I wanna talk about the financial bond, letter of credit business.
Okay.
We can, but going back to, I don't think this board can negotiate financial things with an applicant. I think
We
that's.
can,
Huh?
it's in the rules, we can.
The zoning allows
Letter
you
of credit or bond, that's it.
or purchase of parking spaces if you granted a fee waiver.
So it does say that in the rules. Okay.
Any other questions on the motion?
So we could have options that we can give to Tony as the applicant, right?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, that is.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. So we'll go into deliberative session and we'll decide.
Nice and warm in here. Freezing out.
Sweating from the caffeine.
We're all set? Yep. Okay.
Bottle
we are out of deliberative session on the Neary application. Is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the application in front of us with conditions. Application for the parcel formerly known as Greg's Meat Market. And the conditions to be that the existing Pool World building needs to be taken down by June 1st. And that the parking lot behind needs to follow suit as far as being brought up to specifications that the staff has, which I'll outline briefly, and correct me if I miss some. The lighting, the fence, the landscaping, the swale. What's that?
Grading?
But for now, immediately, we'd like to see, as a condition, the grading on the east side of the Pool World building and the back side of Pool World, the parking lot, be, some stone brought in, leveled out, graded, and then also those barriers, or whatever you want to call them, be put in to delineate parking spaces out back. And lastly, that the handicap spots up front get pushed toward the building a little further to not be in the right of way. That is my convoluted motion.
And was there the time when the
David,
landscaping
did you want to,
I think you said 6/1. You said 6/1 for the
June 1st,
June 1st.
correct, for the
Pool
building to be
World,
down.
Pool World
and the
down, parking lot finished, grading, lighting, fence,
right.
landscaping?
okay,
and landscape.
and I think we agreed on a clarification on the pedestrian access, that we would want it to continue on the east side of Pool World to the, well, have it continue and try to discourage that as a vehicle road. Did the motion catch everything that we?
Yeah, I think you captured this, is minimally grade the parking lot in the rear.
Correct.
And on the east side,
Correct.
for pedestrian purposes and that kind of stuff, and delineate the parking spaces in the rear with bumpers or curbs.
Yes.
Yep.
That would be done prior to opening.
As well as
And
move the handicap spaces
Move the
up front,
handicap and, yeah.
out of the right of way. or
And
toward the-
close that east side to vehicle
Restrict
traffic.
vehicular traffic on the east side. Everything else would have to be done by June 1st.
Correct.
Those handicaps aren't even marked there, that's not what they were. So that, there's nothing to that, just.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion on the motion or questions on it? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want to close the hearing officially, or do you? I know we haven't done that necessarily. but
Everything always comes to the running.
Yes,
Just ask for a motion to close the
motion to
hearing.
close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, hearing is closed.
Looks like you got a pretty good 2 weeks of weather ahead of you, Tony.
Oh, we've already started down below, I'll just move him over here.
Okay.
He's already going in there. He thinks Saturday, him and his brother are gonna work down there. In fact, they're gonna work over here.
Well,
And he doesn't care, you know him, he'd rather work than sleep, so.
So it'll take a little
Thank
bit to
you.
write this decision.
I mean, I can get it all done it's getting it open, getting the time it's gonna take to open is gonna be, we still have a little time left. Although the refrigeration guy told me today he's ready to go, so that's a big deal.
It'll take us a little while to get this decision written.
It'll take us a little while just to do what we
Yeah,
gotta do.
and get it issued, so hopefully we can do it before Christmas.
Deli.
Okay,
Pretty tight.
thank you.
But I am gonna
Thank you.
start grading though.
Yeah.
You have a problem with the grading?
No.
No,
I mean, it's just moving dirt.
tonight would be nice for that.
What?
You can ask
What do
me.
you say? I didn't hear.
Good.
Said
Tonight.
tonight would be nice.
So you know what this means? No performance bond. You gotta go easy on that zoning officer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
She
You can
vouched for
be
you.
tough on the assistant, though.
Yeah, I always was with you anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Thanks, guys.
patience.
I hope we can live up to the market. that
I hope you
we-
have good deli sandwiches.
Yes.
Well, you know Gail as well as I do. She's gonna have a hell of a deli,
Good.
a real good one.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Gail. I'm all excited about it now.
Oh, she says, I think I gotta go. I said, okay. We'll talk about it this afternoon. She's a very bright woman. She does a lot.
Good. That's what you want.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Should
Johnny.
we unplug our cords?
Oh, hey, before John leaves,
Other business?
Thank you, John.
I did put stars,
Have a
hey,
good
John,
night.
before you leave,
Okay.
I did put stars next to the things
Okay.
discussed that I thought needed to go on the final plan.
Yep.
Do you have an extra
I
copy
was
of
quick
the site
jotting
plan?
down, so.
Do I have an extra copy?
Yeah, or do you,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
want
if
this
you're
too?
jotting stuff down anyway.
Oh,
Oh
Yeah.
dear, I have so much chicken scratch, but,
You want to be covering up the words, or?
oh, sorry, well, yeah, that part's not important,
Okay.
what's important are the little asterisks,
Okay.
asterisks.
Got 'em.
Yeah.
I will,
So if you can show a walkway across this swale,
Yep.
they'll have to cross it to get over to Contronio's probably,
Mhm.
sorry,
yep.
right? And then moving those spaces forward, and then showing that dumpster recycling area if it's here. I think we're supposed to show that on the site plans. And then just maybe show that one existing light under the
Yep.
awning. Was there anything else that popped in your head?
No.
Yeah, we just saved a quarter on the phone call.
Yeah. Some data. Thank you.
thank you.
Other business?
Well, we adjourned.
When's our next meeting?
Nothing scheduled right now.
Nothing scheduled,
No.
okay?
Okay.
You got Christmas Eve off for sure.
Well,
Do you hear that?
what's the status of Habitat for Humanity? Have you issued any permit? Where we at?
We've got decisions drafted on Habitat and the Middle Road subdivision. We've got to go over that. I'm working on the Aurora one. And I'll be working on Tony's.
And how
We'll
did
be
the-
working on
How did
it.
the no go with the school or the?
Well, it's a no-go for malt, but we allowed them to expand the educational
Right,
school
right.
opportunities. So
But no
So in a
malt.
way, we're trying to figure out how that decision gets written, where one part of it's positive and one part of it's a
Okay.
denial. So,
All right.
Great, don't leave it around so the town people doesn't hang around the floor here.
Kevin, are you around during the holidays at all, or are you
Oh,
traveling?
sure, no, I'll be here.
So if we get some of these
I'll
whipped
be home
out.
for the holidays.
If he's not, then I should be around.
Oh,
So
sure,
just-
yeah.
Unless I'm on the mountain.
You won't be up there all the time, will you?
Anybody read this book?
Yes.
God bless-
About,
God bless you.
about
You read it.
The
30
pictures
years
are
ago.
great.
I could never get through it.
You never could get this? I think I still have my copies.
There is a good section about the liquor control.
There's no need
We
to.
adjourned.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done. There is a section about it